You know what I'm saying? I would like to welcome you guys to Cruising with Ghostwriter. If you guys never been here before, you know what I'm saying? If it's your first time, I would definitely like to say welcome. You know what I'm saying? As you guys come into the live stream too, if you guys are watching this after it was pre-recorded, I ask that you'll like the video, you'll subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you could come live every time we are live. Well, guys, of course, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to take a couple seconds. I'm going to allow some people to get into the live stream. And we're going to have a conversation about the U.S. economy. I realize there's a lot of people in America that are still hurting. And it's disappointing to hear President Trump in his cabinet meeting yesterday to say that, you know what I'm saying? It's like he's not recognizing the fact that there's a lot of people hurting. So we're going to talk about that. Good morning, Donnie. Yeah, I had to start early, man. Got a lot of stuff to do today. You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to come on here and spend that time with you. I really appreciate you, my boy. You know what I'm saying? Donnie, I would like to say, too, if you would like to become a member of the channel, you know what I'm saying? $2.99. You know what I'm saying? And because I love having you here, man, and I really want you to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? So, guys, like this morning, we're going to talk about the U.S. economy. Now, what I was saying to start off with, it's kind of disappointing to me to hear President Trump in his cabinet meeting yesterday not to acknowledge the pain that ordinary Americans are feeling, because Americans are feeling pain. And that's just the bottom line. You know, if we talk about affordability, you know, gas is like 50 cents cheaper nationally, right? So, you know, there's certain things that are cheaper. And I could say that life could be a little bit easier for some Americans, or life could even be better for a smaller percentage of Americans. But what we're going to find out in a second, that 59% of Americans make less than $100,000 a year, 59%. So that's the majority of the Americans, what we call working class. And if you make less than $50,000 a year, excuse me, you already know, man, if you got a wife and kids, I mean, Donnie, you know, you make 100,000. But I'm saying, Donnie, what if you make 80,000 and you got a wife and 2 kids in this climate, in this economy? So President Trump needs to be cognizant of that. But other than that, man, we're going to start off talking about the new American millionaire. What I'm about to tell you guys is astounding, okay? I'm going to go ahead and jump into the content. This is from Forbes Magazine, and it was published on January the 5th, okay? America added 1,000 millionaires a day in 2025. 40% of the world's millionaires are now in the United States. Guys, 1,000 millionaires a day. Think about that, Donnie. That's unfathomable. You know what I'm saying? It's like almost anybody in America, man, like that. So I've had to think about it. That is the American dream. So if you're saying over 1,000 people a day have new access to the American dream, what's really going on? Let's find out what's going on. The United States has long been, this the Forbes magazine again, the wealth engine of the world. And in 2025, that engine continued to run at full speed. According to 2025 UBS Wealth Report. So if you guys want to fact check me, okay, we're going to be precise with the numbers this morning. UBS, Wealth Report, the United States added more than 379,000 millionaires in 2024. That is unbelievable, guys. Tell me I'm not. Tell me. 1,000 per day. That growth brings the total of number of U.S. millionaires to roughly 24 million, the largest concentration of wealth holders anywhere on earth. So, guys, it tells us right there, there's 24 million millionaires in the United States. People who are making $1 million or who are worth $1 million, I would say, those people are not having a hard time, but they wouldn't be having a hard time in anybody's economy. So you have to understand that a lot of those people might be liberals. Then again, they might not. And I'm saying if they're voting on their pocketbooks, I'm saying there is a contingency of people who are enjoying President Trump's economy. We're going to talk about that. To put that in perspective, nearly 40% of the world's millionaires now live in the United States. Guys, that's unbelievable. I don't care what nobody's saying, how good China's economy is. I don't care how good they're saying anyone's economy in the world. It's a new order to where, the world has more superpowers than the United States. You got to put China and Russia, whatever you want to say, guys, 40%. Look, it's 8 billion plus people in the world. Let's do some numbers. 340 million Americans. So what's that? About a 15th or 20th% of the world's population. Don't quote me. Somebody do the math, put it down in the comments. But I'm saying, yet still you got nearly half of the millionaires on earth living in America. Unbelievable, guys. UBS attributes strong equity markets and real estate appreciation as key indicators. U.S. home values continue to hold or increase while corporate profits and overvalued markets pushed household wealth even higher. Mainland China ranks second. And Donnie, tell me how many millionaires China has. So if the United States, let me get the number right, has 24 million millionaires and only 340 million people, China got 1.4 billion people. They got 1 billion more people in China than in the United States. So how many millionaires do you think China has? China has 6.3 millionaires. Understand the difference, guys, in the wealth between China and America. The Chinese government might have a lot of money. The Chinese government might be trying to get number two. But I'm saying the people, if we're talking about the citizens of the nation, I'm talking about this is literal. Being a millionaire in China is like being a billionaire in America. That's literal. Because you're talking about 1.4 billion people and you got 6.3 millionaires. And in America, you got way less people, 340 million. A quarter of the people live in America live in China, yet still you got 4 times the millionaires. You got to understand that. So guys, let's keep going, okay? UBS estimates that the world's 60 million millionaires collectively control nearly half the global wealth, okay? About 226 trillion, okay? Among them sit 2,860 billionaires. So there are a lot of billionaires. What we're talking about is the creation of wealth in America this morning. The new American millionaire. Guys, in 2024, the United States added, listen to me, in 2024, let me say it for you one more time, the people in the back, the slow people, the United States added 1,000 millionaires a day. Who wants to be a millionaire? I'm saying, if we get down to it and you break down the numbers and look at the economics, on a world stage, there is a lot of problems in America that America needs to get fixed. That's why I feel like President Trump in part got elected. But we talking in 2024 under Joe Biden. This is a president that the business president who comes behind him is saying is the worst president in American history. Yeah, his inflation numbers were terrible. But yet and still under Joe Biden in 2024, America added 1,000 millionaires a day. That is unfathomable. You know what that's telling me? That's telling me almost anybody in America has an opportunity to become wealthy. Almost anybody in America has an opportunity at the American dream. What you guys think? You guys agreeing with me this morning so far? I ask that you guys will like the video, double tap the screen for me, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell, guys. Republicans, independents, and Democrats, y'all jump down in the comments, man. I want y'all to let y'all voice be heard. Guys, this morning, the next point we're going to go over, we're going to talk about the stock market. Because I think it's so important for us to understand, guys. I'm going to tell y'all like this from the beginning. I'm an independent. Okay? So Some of my Democratic friends, you guys might not too much like what we're about to go over when we're talking about the stock market. Some of my Democratic friends, in the truth, I appreciate it. I am not a millionaire, just here to support my God-fearing brother. What I'm trying to tell you, Donnie, y'all appreciate y'all's love. There go that membership, Donnie. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate y'all. Listen, this is what I'm trying to tell you guys this morning. I told y'all about how in 2024, under Joe Biden, America added 1,000 millionaires a day. Who wants to become a millionaire? We're not talking about something like maybe whenever I was a kid in the 80s or 90s, like it's so hard to do. Guys, that's 1,000 people a day. You talk about playing a lottery or doing something to try to get some money. You got a chance, 1,000. That's good. Those are great chances for us, for all of us. That's under Joe Biden. So rock with me. Let me litigate my case. In early 2026, U.S. stock markets hit record highs, driven by AI demand and strong corporate earnings, with the S&P 500 surpassing 7,000. First time ever. The S&P 500, you want to know why we added 1,000? And that was under Joe Biden. Now, the numbers might be a lot higher now. Because I'm saying this stock market right here is doing some stuff that it ain't never done before. Ghost is independent. I know my Democrats might be mad in here this morning. And I'm sorry about that. We doing Jasmine. We got a new episode for Jasmine for Texas. You know I rock with Democrats, but I'm sorry. Ghost got to bring the truth. That's why y'all love me, because I'm going to give y'all the truth. This is for all of us in America to benefit from this. The reason why so many millionaires are being added in part is because that S&P 500. How many of y'all checked y'all 401k in the last year? They done doubled and tripled. Jump down in the comments and tell me if I'm wrong. 7,000 points. It's never hit that much before. And NASDAQ registered record closes with the Dow Jones Industrial Index breaking 49,000. Donnie, I wish Smashley was in here and King Fire. How many of y'all heard me say, Titan Brew, how many of y'all heard me say that Dow Jones was going to hit 50,000 points? I said it months ago. It's already past 49,000. You talk about record. The Dow Jones Index has hit 53 records, bro. Come on, man. Let me litigate my case. I'm going to get all the way fair with it. I'm going to get all the way even with it. All y'all Democrats got to do is wait to the end. I'm going to get even with it this morning now. But we got to focus on what's really going on, what's good for America. That's what ghosts talk about. President Trump talking about nonpartisan. Yes, sir, baby, I'm nonpartisan. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent, and I'm going to speak the truth. What's good for America? Point number one, we talked about under Joe Biden. That was Joe Biden in 2024. America adding 1,000 millionaires a day, bro. That's promise. That's hope. It's almost like, I'm not saying it covers the inflation, because maybe Joe Biden towards the end could have tried to do more forcefully to help the people who we're going to talk about who make less than $100,000 a year, which is 60% of the population, but 40% of America is doing really well right now. Really well. Okay? Now, that S&P 500, that's you and me, your 401ks, okay? But that Dow Jones, who wants to be a millionaire? 53 records. It's higher and it's higher. All you got to do is grab a stock that's raising. You buy you a Tesla stock that's raising. I know it costs a lot of money, but it's an investment, man. Don't go to the club. You see what I'm saying? Don't buy your girl that new Louis Vuitton purse. Buy that stock, man. Who wants to be a millionaire? Record market performance. AI and tech drivers. The technology sector continue to lead with AI-driven companies like SanDisk, showing a 127% rally by late June 2026. Bro, the money on the table, baby. Who want to get rich? This ain't no fantasy stuff. Fact check me. That's Forbes Magazine. 2024, 1,000 millionaires a day. this is the US of A. 40% of all the millionaires in America, in the world, live right here. Who wants to be a millionaire? Who want a piece of that American dream? That's what we're talking about this morning. 2025 was a record-breaking year for U.S. equity, with the S&P 500 delivering a 17.9% return. Golly, getting that money. Who wants to be a millionaire? Guys, we talking about record gains in the stock market. 53. How can the stock market break 53 records? 53. It's going higher, it's going higher, and it's going higher. So not only is America making a whole lot of millionaires, the tools are there. The stock market is there for you to jump in and become one of them 1,000 millionaires a day. How hard will you think it'd be to become one of them 1,000, man? You feel where I'm coming from? Number 3, we're not finishing. We're going to look at the GDP for the fourth quarter, guys. Y'all Democrats, I'm going to get to everything, and I know I'm trying to move through. We're going to get through it, but we're going to look at the GDP estimates for the fourth quarter. It's unbelievable. I told y'all about how many millionaires are being made in America. Okay? I told y'all about the stock market. You guys see it. You guys should know it. You ask Ghost what stock you want to invest in. I told you, just pick one. Just pick a solid stock, bro. They all going up, man. They all going up. On top of that, so this is why it's bipartisan, because this was in 2024. President Trump just continuing off of what Joe Biden was doing. Okay, so you got 1,000 millionaires a day in 2024. I don't know the numbers yet for 2025. If they out, I ain't been privy to them, but I could guarantee you they probably even higher, right? So over 1,000 millionaires a day. Okay, so you got the stock market wide open for people to get the money. You got a means to get the money. Number 3, let's look at the GDP. As of January 2026, the Federal Reserve of Atlanta's GDP Now model, there's your source, estimates U.S. real GDP growth for the fourth quarter of 2025 at 5.4%. What? Donnie, GDP at 5.4% estimates for the fourth quarter. I'm saying, guys, y'all got to rock with me. What we talking about? I'm saying before we get into the things that President Trump needs to do on the economy moving forward, when he's speaking at his cabinet and he's saying that the state of the United States economy is good, we're going to talk about jobs in a second. But I'm saying if you look at the GDP for the 5.4%, guys, let's be real. If it weren't for the government shutdown, there's the underlying numbers show a 7.1% GDP, bro. For the fourth quarter of 2025, show a 7 point. If it weren't for the government shutdown and some other things, bro, GDP would have been at 7.1%. That's what 53 record-breaking Dow Jones stock market. That's what record-breaking. Guys, come on, you got to be real about it. We got to be real about it now. Because, see, here's the thing with Democrats. You might not like what I'm saying right now, but you got to run an election against this. So affordability was and remains a problem. That's what I started to stream on President Trump. Listen, the way it all depends on how you depict affordability. So if I get down in the comments and I say, Donnie, what's affordability mean to you? Donnie makes over $100,000 a year. I don't know if you single or not, Donnie, but I'm saying if you're a single man, you make $40,000 a year. Or if you're a man with a wife and 2 kids and y'all together making $60,000 a year, it's different for every single person. So it's important that President Trump don't lose focus and sight of those people who fall between the cracks, because it's a lot of them, and it's enough of them for the Democrats to clean house in November. That's with 7.1% GDP. That's with 53 record in the stock market. 53 broke the record 53 times. That's with the S&P 500, 17% growth. You talking about record territory? That's with all of that. Because 59% of the voters make less than $100,000 a year. So listen, for us to understand, there's people in between. Say you make $500,000 a year, you should be a millionaire in 2025. Real talk. If you're making $500,000 a year, you have extra money to invest, you definitely should be a millionaire in 2025 without question. But I'm saying those people who are in the middle, you make $250,000 a year, you good anyway. It's the ones beneath that. And that's where we're going to go to our next point that President Trump has to focus on. So, guys, do not be mistaken. Do not be confused. There's a lot of stuff going on in America. And that lot of stuff is the reason and the difference between President Trump hitting the sky. Because I'm saying, Ronald, when the last time you seen a president with 7% growth? That's utterly insane. The difference for President Trump hitting the sky is we having strikes today. Y'all heard about the strikes? Here we go, Ghost. Here we go, Ghost. We back here to this spot. Y'all heard about the strikes that they having today. Have we heard about the strikes? New York City adjourns national shutdown Friday to protest ICE enforcements and death. This according to Epic Center NYC, and it was published January 29th. Record growth, 7.1% GDP. Y'all think who talking about that? Who talking about a 7.1% GDP for the fourth quarter? Who talking about a 5.4% realized GDP for the fourth quarter? Who talking about 53 record-breaking stock market days under President Trump since he's been elected? Who talking about that? What we talking about for real, guys? This is what we talking about. A wide range of residents, businesses, and labor organizers, across New York City are joining the strike on Friday for a day of no work, no school, and no shopping. What? Why they ain't going to work, going to school, and going shopping? They playing hooky? The action is meant to protest the federal immigration enforcement operations that have left at last 8 people dead in the first month of 2026. So all of that we talked about, what we doing with it, it don't mean nothing because of the chaos. Y'all feeling that? I know Republicans, you gotta be feeling me. You gotta be feeling me. I'm saying as an independent, a nonpartisan, for me to say, okay, I'm gonna look at some economic numbers. Because if you got a 7.1% GDP, a lot of people don't understand that is incredible growth. That means that America is acquiring incredible wealth. So all we really got to do, the people who make less than $100,000 a year as bottom feeders, all we got to do is really lean in hard on President Trump. And Big President T, he's bound enough to throw some crumbs down there too. His $2,000 checks here or there, something. Just keep leaning on them. The money there. You see what I'm saying? But what I'm saying, we can't even get on that. We can't focus. We ain't none of that because across America today, January 30th, Donnie, what we talking about? Strikes. What we talking about? Strikes. We can't. President Trump, you wonder in the cabinet, he said, why they not talking about the economy? President T, we can't focus on the economy because we got to talk about Renee Good. They talking about Renee Good. We can't focus. You got to understand this. You got to be able to see this, Donnie. We going to keep coming back to this same spot. This is how you be great. You got a choice. President T, you got a choice, big dog. It's between your retribution and greatness. You got to choose. Either you try for retribution and how it's looking, you probably won't get it. What happened to James Comey case? What happened to Letitia James case? You probably won't get it. Either you try for retribution and that attempt is going to take that greatness from you. I don't see how you can't see it. Because I'm saying all the success that I just went over in them first 20 minutes. GDP, I'm saying what president we had who had a GDP projected like that for any quarter almost? That's insane. 7.1% growth. Y'all see the stock market. Y'all see y'all 401ks. Y'all see something going on out there. I mean, gas 50 cents cheaper. You know what I'm saying? Inflation numbers, they dropping. That's facts. Facts on the ground. But I'm saying throughout all of that, y'all got to feel me. I know y'all Republicans, Donnie, you got to feel me. Throughout all of that, the movement is a part of a broader national shutdown campaign, which grew from the deaths of those killed by ICE agents or who died in ICE detention. Ellis Peretti, Renee Nicole Good, they ain't finished. Louis Gustav, Nunez Caracas, Gerardo Lunas Campus, Victor Manuel Diaz, they got some names. And Keith Porter Jr., killed on December 31st, 2025. The strikes comes as the Trump administration continues its mass deportations. The focus recently has been on Minneapolis, where the Department of Homeland Security has deployed 2,000 or more federal agents. Y'all know the story. But that's what we're talking about. And because of that, at least dozens of NYC restaurants, bars, cafes, and stores have posted on Instagram their plans to show solidarity with the residents of Minneapolis by either closing Friday or donating proceeds from Friday's sales to local immigrants' rights organizations, making them stronger, President Trump, meaning you giving them more whistles to blow. You giving them more money to organize against you. I'm saying, can we see the point, man? Do we see the point? The reason why you gonna lose 40 seats is because of yourself, man. You stopping yourself from being great. The reason why he says that there's never Trumpers and it's unprecedented hate against you, President Trump, because under your administration, America can witness a young lady getting shot in the face. You see how that works? We talking about GDP and the creation of new American millionaires, but this chaos is still prevalent. I told this story 1,000 times. Donnie, say you worked at Trump Tower, or say President Trump, he back at Trump Towers, just before the President Day, say we in the 90s. And say they have a board meeting at Trump Towers and President Trump, big President T, sitting at the head of the board. And they come in there and they tell them, hey, 2 of your employees, they just got in a fist fight in front of the customers. We got customers checking out, leaving. They talking smack about this being like a little Super 8 hotel or whatever. And President Trump looking at these 2 employees, and one of these employees make them a whole lot of money. But he always getting in fights and he always getting in fusses and it's always confusing. What you do in that situation, big President T? Well, you probably gonna fire both of them, right? That's what I'm saying, President Trump. Like, you can make America a lot of money. You could help create more than 1,000 millionaires a day that Joe Biden was creating. Because Joe Biden's stock market ain't do what President Trump's doing. Joe Biden's GDP ain't where President Trump's GDP is, and President Trump and them, they are getting down those inflation numbers. We could talk about jobs in just a second, because he has lost some jobs now, but he said that they're going to come back. He remaking them, he reforming them. He said there's a lot of investments that's coming in, and when those investments kick in, them jobs going to flourish. We're going to have to see. That's yet to be seen, because it's only his first year. And the numbers don't look bad on the surface, but we can't even focus on them. We can't even talk about them. All we could talk about right now is Ellis Peretti. Can you see, Donnie, how important it is and how those things, it's like the butterfly effect. Some things you're doing with Homeland Security is affecting everything across the board. Ain't nobody want to talk about the GDP when we see federal agents killing American citizens. And now they're striking against you. So in communities all across America today, you got millions of Americans who aren't going to go shopping. Their kids going to be home from school. They're not going to work because they're protesting. The chaos, man. Imagine without the chaos. Imagine a president. I know you're going to say, Ghost, that's what makes him great, with the risk taking and the tears and the likes, because of his personality, which causes him to be rambunctious. It goes together. And I know you're going to say that, but imagine if we could stir up a pot. You feel what I'm saying? Stir it up, and we could come out with a big President T without the chaos. Can we dial back the chaos? Can we tone down the chaos? And we could celebrate Titan Brew on the surface, what looks like a great economy. But outside the chaos, this is what I want y'all to focus on. Now, I've been as fair as possible. Okay? Y'all cannot say that Ghost ain't been fair. Y'all know I'm an independent, nonpartisan. Okay? But I'm saying besides the chaos, what we got to look at, and this is key, and this is important. So if y'all Democrats, if y'all done hung with me, I know it might have been rough at first for the first 30 minutes, but we got to face reality. Because you still, even though you're not completely like toning out the people, those 40% of the population who are now millionaires, even though you're not completely toning them out, the majority of who you talking to is based on 2024 exit polls, according to NBC. Approximately 59% of voters reported having a household income of less than $100,000 a year. This group, often characterized as working to middle class, has shown shifting political alignment with Donald Trump, winning 51% of this demographic in 2024 compared to just 43% in 2020. That's the difference in the key to the midterms. In 2020, President Trump only won 43% of the voters who make less than $100,000 a year. And Hillary Clinton won 33 million more votes than him. Am I right or wrong? Okay? Now, against Joe Biden. Joe Biden beat him, okay? Now, in 2024, that same demographic, people making less than 100,000, President Trump shifted 8 points with them. A lot of people think that's due to inflation, and he won 51% of them. And we see the results. He beat VP Harris by 3 million votes, win the popular vote for the first time, because it's that working class vote I be trying to tell y'all about. So all y'all Democrats who were disgusted, it's no reason to be. Because President Trump, listen, if I ask Donnie, hold on a second, guys, because I want to explain this good. If I ask Donnie what the Republican, I would say, thesis is, and he would say that every man has to work hard, earn his own keep. You know what I'm saying? What you say, Donnie? Y'all tell me down in the comments. What do Republicans say? It ain't their responsibility, self-responsibility, self-preservation, yada, 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 right? What I'm saying, in my mind, a Republican's policies are geared towards a rich man or a businessman or businesses. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, in my mind, the Democrats' policies are geared to the working class or those voters, 60% of Americans who make less than $100,000 a year. Whoever wins those voters is going to win the White House, Congress, whatever's on the slate. So, Donnie, that's what's on the slate. Is the people, and when we talk about the economy and we look at the numbers, yeah, the numbers are good. But are they good enough to where the people in the middle or at the bottom feel it? Are they that good? See, under Bill Clinton, Donnie, it was that good to where the people in the middle or the bottom, they felt that wealth being grown. But I'm saying under President Trump, the people in the middle or the bottom, whether you saying affordability or not, because those inflation numbers might get down, some costs might go down. So the Republicans are going to push back hard on the affordability argument. But whether you want to say affordability or not, whatever you want to call the argument is, all I'm saying is the working class voters that President Trump got 9% of their vote in 2024. I think he might have lost them. I think the Republicans might have lost them. You say, Ghost, stop hating. You say, Ghost, I know you an undercover Democrat now. They smile in your face all the time. They want to take your place, them backstabbers. You feel me? Nah, bro, this is why I'm going to tell you that. Look at the special elections in 2025. 12 points here, 13 points here, 11 points here. Some districts, 30 and 40 points swung to the left. You know what that looked like to me? That looked like them working class voters are going back to the Democrats. So listen, if I was y'all and I was a Democrat and I was forming y'all strategy, I wouldn't go at President Trump's stock market or trying to say his economy is all that bad, because that's, to me, is not a winning argument. Not with the GDP looking like that. What I would go at is that still the working class, he has not helped the working class. How many of us in the working class have felt the effects of a GDP that high? That's the question. How many of us have felt it? That's the question. Because you got to be very aware that the majority of the voters, we're talking about under $30,000 a year, 11% of the voters make under $30,000. Under 30,000, 11% of the voters. That's a lot of voters. I could promise you one thing for sure and two things for certain. President Trump, those voters have not felt anything. As a matter of fact, those voters have felt the crunch. Their health care, those programs that they depend on, like TANF, under $30,000 a year, President Trump, y'all can almost count those voters gone. The vast majority of them. 30,000 or 50,000 a year, that's 16% of the population. 50,000 to 99,000, that's 32% of the population. I'm saying you just got to think about it. A man and a woman together making $70,000 a year and they got 3 kids, they're struggling, bro. They're struggling. So that's what I'm saying. You got 33% of the population that voted. We're talking, when I say the part of the population, I mean voters. You got, 37% of the population made under $50,000 a year. Those people have not been helped. Am I right or am I wrong? Those people don't feel the relief. Am I right or wrong? And I think that's the whole difference. You know what I'm saying? Ghost gave it to you, man, in 40 minutes, man. That's my case, Donnie. I'm finna get in the comments already with y'all. That's why I started early. So for the people who came in late, you know what I'm saying? I'm already ready to get in the comments, man. Already ready to do it with you. That's my case. 1,000 millionaires a day were created in America in 2024. President Trump comes in behind that. 53 record-setting days in the Dow Jones. NASDAQ record territory. S&P 500 first time as ever it's been at 7,000 points. You talking about 401ks tripling and doubling, okay? Number 3, we look at the GDP. We look at real gross domestic product, real growth for the U.S. economy. And I'm saying the numbers for the fourth quarter of 2025 is projected to be 5.4%, and it could have been 7.1%. Astounding, unbelievable. But the reason President Trump, no one is talking about all those great numbers is because today is a day of strikes. It's a day of protest because of the chaos from ICE, the chaos with Canada, the chaos with Greenland, the chaos with England, bro. You got Canada and England meeting with Xi. Have y'all seen that? The English Prime Minister is meeting with Xi for the first time in 8 years. Mark Carney, y'all, we've been talking about it. He trying to get the Europeans to go on the other side. That's that chaos. President Trump, that's what they see. In the end, all your good numbers are not going to be remembered. They're going to be forgotten. I mean, most Americans, who knows what a GDP is anyway? You know, you might know that's got something to do with the economy, and it's a percentage. And the average, a good average is about 3%. So anything above 3% is good. Anything below 3%, you see what I'm saying? So you got 7%, that's double the average. So you know that's got to be good. You might know a little bit about the GDP, but I'm saying, who really know about the GDP? But we know about an over-aggressive federal agent. We know about seeing a girl getting shot in the head 3 times or a man get shot in the back on the ground. Ain't nobody going to talk about your GDP when you got federal agents killing people, Americans. Yes, it makes a difference because they're Americans. Because, guys, if y'all don't know, it's about 10 people died at the hands of ICE or in ICE custody, about 10 people. But it's only 3 Americans. And those are the ones that we really focus on or pay attention to. So I'm saying nobody's going to pay attention to your numbers. President Trump, nobody's going to talk about your economy whenever people are getting shot. And number 5, we talk about the working class, those people who make. Listen, number 4 and number 5 kills 1 through 3. 1 through 3, before we get to 4 and 5, 1, 2, and 3, what number 4 should be is jobs. He lost a whole lot of jobs, but he promised that he was going to get them back. They coming back, just in a different way. Okay? A bunch of AI, a bunch of investment, a bunch of factories being built. He said, Ghost, don't worry about that. The job's coming back, okay? But I'm saying instead, his number 4 and 5, a regular president is number 4. President Trump's number 4 is chaos and ICE and America's getting shot. And his number 5 is him not helping the poor. Him not doing enough for the bottom. And that number 4 and that number 5, that's what's going to make y'all lose those midterms. That number 4 and that number 5 is what's going to make y'all lose 40 seats, 30 seats, 25 seats in the House of Representatives. You got to get rid of the 4 and the 5. That chaos, you got to get rid of that, and you got to do something to help 30% of the voters who make less than $50,000 a year. They gonna vote against you, I promise you, because your policies are helping millionaires and helping wealthy people. And those people were promised, Donnie Titan Brew, President Trump promised to help those people who make less than $50,000 a year, because they vote for him. He swung the vote to him. He won the working class vote. He won the poor man vote. He swung the vote to him. We saw in 4 years from when he ran against President Biden to when he just now ran against VP Harris, he went from 43% to 51%. And that 51% of those voters, the largest swath of voters, 60% of voters make less than $100,000 a year. 30% of them make less than $50,000 a year. They were looking for help. They were depending on you, President Trump, for help. And you're not on the ballot and you won 51% of them. But what we saw in 2025 in those special elections, a lot of them went right back to the Democratic Party. And you're going to see it in 2026 in November. That's my case, y'all. You got to kill out the chaos. The chaos is hurting you in more ways than one. It's working against you. You got too many factors working against you guys in that midterms. Too many factors working against you. It's hurting you more ways than one. Donnie says, there was a smaller worker pool and an employer had to pay well. None will work for them. Then women doubled the job market. Interest rates have increased, but the last house I bought was at 2.89%. What politician ever finishes what he starts? I don't trust any of these politicians. And I know, Donnie. I'm sorry, that's May. May, I know that. And that's a sad situation because that's where a lot of Americans are right now. You know what I'm saying? A lot of Americans are in a position where they don't trust politicians. And that's very unfortunate, but that's the state of our politics right now. Titan Bruce says, my mortgage interest rate was 2.5%. Never sell our house while interest rates are high. Donnie says, check those numbers again. Take out number for people removed from government jobs over the last year. In America currently, if a company employs a full-time employee, they get taxed out the nose. That's why you have a hard time finding full-time work. Rick says $2.39 a gallon. If you guys have not liked the video, I ask that y'all like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Now, Samuel, that's not what we're looking for. See, listen, this is what I'm saying. I said this before. With President Ronald Reagan, listen, the Republicans got about the same mentality. The Republicans feel like the rich people create the wealth, so they're going to give them a tax break and expect them to create wealth. That's what they feel. That's their thesis. What I'm saying is though, that might be true, but you still have to help. The majority of the voters are not rich. So I'm saying the Republicans, the reason why they won 1 out of 5 elections, because how are your policies going to help the poor? That's the question. They don't seem to be able to answer that. The Republicans believe in top-down economics, trickle-down economics, and the Democrats believe in building the economy from the middle or from the bottom up. That's the difference. So typically, the Democrats' policies tend to help or benefit the working class. You guys, whoever the working class is voting for is who's winning that election. There are more voters making less than $100,000 a year than anyone else in America. Okay? I told you guys, we went over the numbers. 30% of the voters in America make less than $50,000 a year. You have to help them. Ronald Reagan had what we call the largest redistribution of wealth in U.S. history. The child tax credit. Y'all know a girl or a female or a man or a woman you knew before who have a baby. And so you got that baby. They got a baby now, right? That baby, they get what, $2,000 to $4,000 back on their taxes for each child they have. Some girls got 4 kids, they'll get back 15. I done heard people get tax returns, $20,000, $30,000 during COVID. I put that on everything I love. Imagine getting a tax return for $30,000 during COVID. President Biden was giving people like $4,000 a child. Those were Ronald Reagan had those policies. So while Ronald Reagan was giving rich people tax cuts and tax breaks, he was helping the poor. He wasn't cutting tenant. That's the difference. I'm not trying to get on President Trump. I'm not trying to get on his style, whatever his style, however his style, that's on him. What all I'm trying to say is this. You got to help those people at the bottom sooner or later. And if I was President Trump, I would do it sooner than later. He's got to come help the bottom. He has to. It don't matter how good your economy is doing. It's common sense. The numbers are not there for you to win with 40% of the America who might be millionaires now. Your numbers ain't, there's not enough. You don't have enough of those people to vote compared to the people like Ghost who made less than 100,000. So I'm saying you got to do something to help the people who do not have money. And as long as he's not doing it, the Democrats, that's your message. Let his GDP be whatever it is. It don't matter if your GDP 10%. If you got 30% of your population making less than $50,000, because listen, are you of those 40% of the population that are millionaires? If I'm not mistaken, a lot of those people vote Democrat. If I'm not mistaken, a lot of those people vote Democrat. So you're not getting all of the people who are benefiting from President Trump's policies. You only getting a portion of them. So you take out the MAGA who might make less than 50,000. I mean, when you round it, bro, you need them voters. The Republicans, y'all gonna find out in November. I'll tell them 1,000 ways the Democrats are positioning against you. And as long as you're talking about Greenland, taking Greenland by military force, that's even more dangerous than just today and right now. Because I'm saying you got Canada buying Chinese EVs now. You got England, and next you're going to have France, and you're going to have all the NATO allies. They're going to go, China going to be the head of NATO. America going to disband NATO. China going to say thank you. They're going to go take over NATO. It's unbelievable. But I'm saying that chaos does not help you. No one's going to talk. I mean, listen, that whole debate with President Trump and VP Harris, they only had one debate. What was the debate about? What they talk? You know, what was their position? I was listening for economic positions. VP Harris introduced economic positions. But the thing that most of us remember the most out of that debate is they were eating the cats in the dogs. You feel me? That's what we remember the most. I'm saying this, what I'm saying, Donnie. This what I'm saying, Titan Brew. Even if you creating the most millionaires and everybody getting rich off of your policies, I'm saying even if they like you and you giving them $1 million, one thing that they'll turn against you on is seeing an American getting shot in the face, and they think that it was a murder. Because you can say whatever you want to. They able to see that little 4-minute video, and they going to make up their own mind regardless of what you say. So you could give them $1 million, but if they think you're going to shoot them in the face tomorrow, they're going to vote against your $1 million. Because that $1 million don't mean nothing if you're going to get shot in the face, especially if President Trump ain't on the ballot. I'm trying to give it to you from as many different ways as I can. Because I'm telling you, that stuff that hurts you in a lot more ways than just, it hurts you in a lot of ways. If you guys have not liked the video, I ask that y'all double tap the screen, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. America's pursuit of Greenland is not a new concept, but to say that you're going to attack a NATO ally by military force is a new concept. That sends Canada to go meet with Xi. That sends Carney to meet with Xi. You sitting there constantly picking on Canada, saying that they should be the 51st state, challenging their sovereignty, belittling their presidents in front of his own people. That put Chinese EVs in Toronto. That's what I'm saying. If you take out all that stuff, 77, if you take out all that stuff, then guess what we got time to talk about? That GDP. We got time to talk about that stock market. You got to listen. The Democrats are opposing you. They're going to oppose you. You got to come to grips with that. You got to let that be your reality. The Democrats are going to oppose you. That's just the bottom line. But I'm saying you can't allow them to win. Because if they're opposing you and you act over aggressively and Renee Good gets shot in the head, you're not winning the argument. I'm saying all that chaos, all that violence, you got to stop that, and you got to go help the poor. Donnie's talking to Titan Brew. He says, follow the money about corporate socialism. You'll be surprised who gets the support and who they fund in Congress. Not like the top 1% cares about even a 99% tax they won't pay. Yes, indeed, Donnie. But look, you don't have to, Donnie, it all depends on who your president is. You feel me? They gonna if it would be ghostwriter, you gonna pay that 2% tax, that 2% wealth tax. Tax the rich, baby. Yeah, you gonna pay that 2% wealth tax if it was ghostwriter president. Real talk, you paying it. Whether you want to pay it or not, you gotta pay it. It's necessary. The preservation of all of humanity. That should be the goal. The preservation of all of humanity. That should be our goal. So I'm saying you don't just let people fall through the cracks. You don't just let people that I don't believe in that. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I don't think that's the godly thing to do. I don't think that's the nothing thing to do. And that's what I believe, Titan Brew. And Donnie, I believe you have to look out for the people who can't look out for themselves. It's our duty as humans. So as I said, you're not going to see Elon and Jeff Bezos out there in the Walmart or at the shopping center feeding the homeless people or the people who are hungry. So as a government, it's our duty as a Christian nation, in my belief, it's our duty to attempt to take care of the homeless or the poor or the hungry. That's our duty. I've had more income every year from the last, regardless of who the president is. That's true. Based on one's income level and ability to increase that income on the elected, that is absurd, though, Titan Brew. It's the facts. But I'm saying there's climates that are created due to the politics and the policies of a president. Because I'm saying if you're giving him credit for lowering the price of gas, then I'm saying when the gas price go up, you got to blame it against him. You feel it? So I'm saying, like, I'm saying personal responsibility. Listen, so if I went to start a bit, so when President Trump was president the first time I was working, 9 to 5, punching the clock, or I say 6 to 6. You feel me? I was working. Like at the end of Joe Biden's term, I became disabled and I started a business. I know my life's going to change. I know factors. It don't matter who the president is. I understand that, Titan Brew. But there's some situations, me being a disabled veteran, President Trump might not never write any policy to help me, but VP Harris would as a disabled veteran. That's what I'm saying. You are benefited or affected by, what if you depended on TANF? And during the government shutdown, those politics directly relate to your life or your lifestyle. You are benefited and hurt directly by the actions of politicians in a lot of cases. Not all cases. You can't put all of the responsibility of the factors and the things that happen in your life on a politician, but definitely, Titan Brew, wouldn't you say that they're at least influential? They're at least influential over our lives, maybe not day to day. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to buy a house, I wouldn't think that would be your day-to-day life if that was your goal. But I'm saying the president and their policies can affect interest rates, a whole host of things, even the housing market completely, which will have some influence over your life. That's my part. Donnie says Ghost is advocating for a wealth tax, not an income tax hike. Nah, you don't want to raise taxes, especially not on the people who make less than $100 million a year. So you talking about people making less than $100 million a year? You getting in the 40% of America is worth at least $1 million or better. But how many Americans worth 100 million? That's a whole different class of wealth, Donnie. I mean, Titan, bro. How many Americans, how many Americans worth 100 million? Huh. 10,000 to 10,600. So less than 11,000 people out of 340 million. Chances are you are not one of those people. That's what I'm talking about, Titan Brew. That's what I'm talking about, Donnie. When I say tax the rich, I'm talking about 11,000 people. Significantly, people, you phase it down, you phase it out. Significantly, people who are worth $3 million, $5 million a year, they're gonna be paying taxes. I'm saying you make less than 100,000, you ain't gonna pay zero tax, zero income tax. I mean zero. When I say zero, I mean zero, zero. Won't even take it out your check. You off the tax bracket if you make less than $100,000 a year as a family. An individual making less than $30,000 a year, the government shouldn't ask them for nothing, not a penny. I'm saying if you're a Republican and you believe in individual growth and all that, you're not gonna help the man at the bottom. Then don't. If you believe in cutting taxes, why don't you cut his taxes to zero? You make less than $30,000 a year, I'm cutting your taxes to zero. If I'm a Republican, and I'm not gonna give you no money if I see you hungry and need a cheeseburger. Why would you take taxes from them? And you cutting Elon's tax? That don't make no sense. None at all. If you make 11,000 people make over $100,000 a year, I mean over 100 million a year, yeah, that's my primary focus when I say tax the rich. Now, if you make $50 million, you worth $50 million, we're going to tax you too. It's just not going to be like we taxing them. You feel me? The more you make, the harder you get taxed, all the way up to 3%. I want 3%, bro. You telling me, say Jeff Bezos, Amazon, whatever they made, because I'm saying, bro, look, you Google, man, Google made $300 billion. 300 billion. If I'm not mistaken, they were making like I need to look them numbers up, but bro, it was crazy money. I'm saying, who gonna feed? That's a you got to feed the poor. You have to feed the poor. You have to feed the poor. You cannot run away from that responsibility. I know it's ugly. I know a lot of people are greedy. I know a lot of people don't care about helping nobody, but we have to feed our poor. We have to feed our poor. We have to feed our poor. Have to. And you Republicans are going to understand this, and you're going to feel it if President Trump don't do nothing about that by November. I don't know if $2,000 check is good enough. You need some policies. You need policies that's targeted towards helping people who are at the bottom or helping people who make less. You need policies for that. That's why you need some Democrats. VP Harris, she got policies for them. Hakeem Jeffries, he got policies for them. AOC, she got policies for them. Bernie Sanders, all his policies is for them. But I'm saying the Republicans and President Trump, y'all, no tax on tip. That's a policy for people who make less than $50,000 a year. Who you think mostly getting tips? No tax on overtime. The man worth 100 million. He ain't working no overtime. He the ones providing people with jobs and overtime. So that's not benefiting him. No tax on Social Security. Who you think that's benefiting? Oh, so he is aware that there are policies that you can make to help people who make less than $50,000 a year. He put them in a big, beautiful bill. And when he was speaking in Iowa, he was speaking everywhere. He tell everybody he proud about them. So there are policies that he's aware of, the Republicans are aware of, that you can make to help the poor. If you getting a bunch of tariff revenue, then take some of that money. You can't wait till the summertime. The Democrats gonna have the people hating you by summer. You need to connect with don't let it get bad. I would never, if I was advising him, I would never advise him to do something like, that's what I'm saying, Stephen Miller. I've been saying this for a long time about you, buddy. Real talk though. You leading President Trump down the wrong path. I mean, you know he a bravado. He want to come at you, want to do that stuff. Look, President Trump going to get flip at the mouth and say, you ain't going to be able to control that. But I'm saying as you as an advisor, don't be advising him to do stuff like what? You going along with it. You know he going to come out talking about taking Greenland by military. Don't go along with, I guarantee you Susie Wiles ain't going along with that. Marco Rubio wasn't going along with that. Come on, I can't see him going along with that. Not behind closed doors. I'm saying Stephen Miller, y'all antagonizing it, and I'm saying if you care about his presidency, don't antagonize the man to let him do that on his own, and don't when they ask y'all, I don't have no comment on that. You know what I'm saying? I ain't finna be coming out there talking about we finna take Greenland by force and trying to explain it away. What? Nah, man, that stuff is hurting them. It'll cost you the midterms. Not that one statement, but I'm saying you making statements like this. This stuff is happening ever since the end of 2025. We roll into 2026, and I'm talking about we can't talk about no 7.1% GDP possibilities. We ain't got time to talk about it. We talking about Renee Good and Greenland and protests today all across America. And you're going to have millions of people who staying home. You're going to have millions of people who ain't going shopping, probably going to go down $1 billion or $2 billion. You're going to have, I'm telling you, you don't think you're going to lose money if you got millions of people across America who ain't spending no money. No kids ain't going to school. You know how many times you stop and put gas, how many of those parents going to stay? Y'all don't think, ghosts think. You saying that ain't no big deal, we could lose, but you ain't trying to go that way. You trying to go the other way. You want people to have time to brag on your numbers. You know the Democrats, if you don't give them nothing, don't give them nothing to talk about. I'ma give them something to talk about the GDP. You know what I'm saying? Talk about the stock market. They ain't gonna talk about the stock. Who want to talk about a boring stock market when a girl getting shot in the head? They're gonna talk about somebody getting shot in the head. They're gonna talk about a man getting shot in the back by federal agents, by masked men. Think about that. Masked men in BDUs and army fatigue shooting Americans. That sounds like a Stephen King novel, bruh. That's what they want to talk about. They're gonna be on that. You talk about the GDP, that's all boring stuff. And then if the people are getting $1 million, like I said, if they getting rich off you, they don't want to get shot in the face. They don't want to get rich and shot in the face. Guys, we've been streaming about 1 hour and 8 minutes. We're going to touch 2 hours today. That's why I'm already giving y'all that heads up. Donnie became a member of the channel. Welcome my boy Donnie, man. You know what I'm saying? My boy Donnie in here all the time, man. He be supporting, you know what I'm saying? Letting his voice be heard, man. I feel like, man, this is much your channel, Donnie, as it is mine, man. I appreciate you, my brother. You know what I'm saying? We come in here, we have these discussions every morning, every day. If there's some days you guys want to talk about certain different things, we can. I try to talk about the relevant stories or the relevant conversations. So the strikes was a relevant conversation. They're having strikes today across America. Like I said, that's breaking news. Today is January 30th. This is the day of the strikes due to the killings, recent killings. So that's news. But what I'm saying is to me that GDP is news too. It's great news. Stock market is great news. It's not benefiting me, but it's benefiting other Americans, so I'm happy for it. You see what I'm saying? But I'm saying in order for President Trump to get ghosts, the centrists, unaffiliated, who gonna decide the election making less than $50,000 a year. In order for you to get Ghost to vote for you, you gotta throw some policies down here. You gotta throw us some bones. I'm trying to help them win. You can't wait to the end to throw the bones. People gonna just come throw the bones and they gonna vote for a Democrat. Oh, thank you, President Trump. We know you gave us this money, and then he gonna go vote against such and such, your Republican friends. You know what I'm saying? So better than I was 1 to 5 years ago. That's what I'm saying. His policies help and benefit some people. I'm not saying it don't. Like I said, under Joe Biden, America added 1,000 millionaires per day in 2024. I can imagine how many they added per day last year. More than that, I would imagine. Because I'm saying if you, like I said, $200,000 a year, $400,000 a year, you live in the South, you got extra money to invest. If you bought Tesla stocks, if you bought pretty much any blue chip stock, you balling, you banked big time. That's what it is, y'all. Y'all had liked the video. Make sure y'all double tap the screen, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. In the truth, with that donation this morning early, I appreciate that donation. You know what I'm saying? Donnie became a member of the channel. If you guys want to donate to the channel, become a member of the channel, hit that button with the $ in it. Your donations are much appreciated. Y'all keep the conversation going down below in the comments. We got about 50 minutes, y'all. We're going to get off early today. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to be getting off about 8:30 today, guys. So we got about 50 minutes, man. Y'all keep on coming with the comments. I appreciate all you guys' support. Oh, man. Who that is? Brians, thank you for the sticker, baby. Thank you. If you guys want to donate to the channel, hit the button with the $ in it. Donnie says, IT and trades are AI resilient, middle management, HR, and even CEO are highly AI vulnerable. Ironically, who really is going to be the one suffering under the AI revolution? Like all the workers, a bunch of workers, though, Donnie. The AI revolution is here. It's about time for me to do a live stream on it. Because the last time I did a live stream, I was telling people all the jobs. Not hating on Amazon, not hating on no business. It's about their bottom line. That's the name of the game. All the jobs getting cut because of AI. That's going to get cut. President Trump thinks he's going to be able to because he said there's a lot of jobs being made because of AI. So he thinks but I don't think you're going to get the economic boom. Like Jasmine Crockett said that under President, we lost 1 million jobs last year. So I'm saying if President Trump is like, okay, well, we're going to gain 1.5 million, I think he only going to gain 500,000. Because that AI is real. In order for AI to become the industrial revolution that I know it's going to become, then you're going to have to start integrating that intelligence into. That's what they're doing in China. Bro, in China, listen, in China, you could go to right in the middle of, like, in the market, and they just have a machine there. And you order food. Bro, I put this on everything I love. I can't wait till I screen share all the stuff I'll be watching. You order food and a drone. How many of y'all know what I'm talking about, Donnie? Y'all could go look this up. A drone will bring you the food and drop it on the place where you ordered the food at. I'm talking about cooked food, hot food. A drone bringing the food in China. You don't understand what artificial. I'm talking about some cities in America, 3/4 of the cars are autonomous cars. That's being 3/4 of the taxis are. And go to China, bro. That's what the future of the world is going to be. Artificial intelligence already there. For the Chinese, they communists. So really, she don't care about giving his people a stipend. If he can afford it, they already be doing it. I thought they had like a young person. Does China give the people there? Does China give any of its citizens a stipend? So China does not provide universal basic income. Not yet. Not yet. Let's look at Saudi Arabia. Does Saudi Arabia give citizens a stipend? Saudi Arabia provides financial stipends and various benefits through its citizens account program. Some nations are already giving their citizens stipends. I knew Saudi Arabia did it. They getting oil money. That'll be the same thing with these businesses when they making the money. They listen. Do you understand? If Walmart, I always do this. If they have 1,000 employees, if you could do the job now with 400 employees, that's 600 employees. You know that is millions of dollars. For Walmart, that's billions of dollars they'll be saving annually in workforce revenue or in overhead and labor costs. Billions. They're going to be able to afford to pay the extra money. You don't understand the picture. Yet and still, you're going to need a universal basic whatever. They already got a name for it because they know it's coming. Tax the rich. That's going to be the future. Whichever politicians can come up with the best policies that are taxing the rich. Socialism isn't going to be a choice. It's going to be a way of life for the world. Free market socialism. I don't know how they're going to do it. All I know is that y'all are building machines to come take people's jobs. They building machines to come take people's jobs. That's what's coming. So Bryn says, I don't hire new people in for what my job, they are already there. Hold up. I don't hire new people in for what my people that are already there make. Nope, I feel that. I feel that. And if I was you, like, because look, I'm going to say this though, baby, because your employees, they be knowing. You don't think, you look, you would tell, how many of us got a new job and they said, don't tell how much you make to your other coworkers? It's against company policy. You know, that's the first, oh, girl, how much you make? Oh, you know, we ain't supposed to say that, but you know, they just gave me a raise, so I make $18.50 an hour. Another thing, since you said that, I've been wanting to talk about, I should have made that a big part of this live stream, because we've been streaming for 1 hour and 20 minutes, and I've been through the content. You see what I'm saying? I just got straight to it this morning. But another point that I wanted to make is the minimum wage, man. How you gonna have a minimum wage? You the richest country on earth, and you got an $7 an hour minimum wage. Still, they haven't raised the minimum wage in I don't know how long. Because I'm saying, if the minimum wage was $20 an hour, right? You making $800 a week before taxes. So what you making, 40,000? When you taking out the taxes, you're going to be bringing home about $675 a week. As a single man in New York, I guess I could find an apartment like, you know, $700 a month rent. My car note about $400, insurance about $200. This is a single man. What I'm talking about, some dirt cheap rent in New York. That's $1,500. Just for keys and a bed. See what I'm saying? $19.50, that brands, that's not bad though, baby. You see what I'm saying? That's good money. That's what I used to do. I wasn't stocking though. I was working in a warehouse, and I was making about that. For me though, as a single man making about $20 an hour, I'm saying, you know, you making it though. But I'm saying, if you got a family though, you couldn't make it with no family off that. Y'all be struggling. That's what I'm saying. You look at where minimum wage is, and we talking about right now, if you making $675 a week, I remember that I'll bring home $1,000 a week. I was balling though. $50,000 a year for me as a single man, that's balling. Not balling like balling, but I mean, that's you pretty straight. You ain't hurting for nothing. $100,000 a year like Donnie as a single man, that's super straight. But when you had a wife and kids, I'm 45. You know, I might want to get married, have some babies. I'm not going to do it unless I can afford to do it. And in order for you to be able to afford to do it, you got to be making, unless you got a savings or something. It's like y'all both got to work, and y'all both need to make 50,000 or better. Both of y'all. And then you got to add kids to the situation. Then so you got to take care of children as well. Yeah, non-rent control 3,200. Yeah, but see, I'll do rent control. You feel me? That's all I could do is rent control. Apartment. Ghostwriter, bro, I'm disabled. You see what I'm saying? I'm on a fixed income, so I can't pay no $3,200. Rent control, yeah, I could get one for $700. That was my whole point. I'm saying, look, if I wasn't disabled and I was working, okay, say working with a disability or something, say I'm getting that $20 an hour. That was my point. I'm bringing home $675 a week in a rent-controlled apartment. See, Donnie said 3,200. You know, if you making $20 an hour, it's $675 a week. That's $2,600 a month. How am I make pay $3,200 a rent? You can't afford no apartment in New York if you making $20 an hour. That's my point. $20. Minimum wage is still $7.50. How is that possible? You can't afford an apartment in New York. You making $25 an hour. But you got minimum wage $7.50 in the richest nation on earth. You talking about what your GDP mean if it's 7%, but your minimum wage is $7.50? I guess the people who make it $7.50, those like your slave. Like modern day slavery. You feel that? But the problem is, for you to win an election, you have to realize is that the majority of the voters, they making less money in America. So I'm saying, how you gonna win elections if you don't throw them bones? Obama used to throw them bones all the time. That's how he kept winning. Remember, Brian C. said Obama phone, cash for clunkers. They called Obama the food stamp president because all the people getting food stamps and stuff. You see, the Democrats, if y'all stay focused on the working class and on the poor man and building the economy from the bottom up, you got to stay focused on your principles. Then it don't matter how good the economy doing because President Trump ain't doing nothing to help the people who matter. You know who you talking to. I'm saying that Jasmine, she don't need to be if a Democrat, you don't need to be in an affluent neighborhood trying to talk about vote. We already know what that is. But I'm saying a lot of those people be Democratic voters. If they vote Democrat, I would rather be with a farmer. I don't care what color he is, because I know he probably struggling in Texas. That's what I'm saying. You got to be able to target those 30% of voters who make less than $50,000 a year. Like I said, if they goes, you know what I'm saying? I know I'm going to touch 50,000 in 2026, so it's going to look different. I didn't touch 50,000 last year. It's only the third year in my business. You know, I ain't punched no clock in years. So being able to make money without punching the clock like that, shoot, I made more money last year than I ever did punching the clock. You feel me? And I'm going to double it. It just take time. It just take you some time to build a business, but we're not talking about that. We're just talking about the people who, if I had a family and I had that job that Brian's was talking about, or Donnie was talking about, that's $20 an hour. And Donnie said rent is $33,000, and we got a family. She made $20 an hour too. So y'all together bring home $5,200 a month, but your rent is $3,000. And it's two of y'all, and y'all talking about having babies and stuff. You got car. My car note $380. The insurance $200, so that's almost $600 on top of the rents. No, I ain't gonna tell you about the credit cards. You feel me? I got little bills kind of like, yeah, you that money gone. That you ain't washing no clothes, you ain't buying no soap, you ain't buying no tissue, you ain't buying no food. You know, fat boy, that's like our comfort. You know, you want to take your girl, you in NYC, you ain't gonna want to be eating no McDonald's and Burger King all the time. Plus, anyway, it's expensive in Lower Manhattan. But even if you're in the Bronx or Harlem, you ain't gonna want to be eating, or the Brooklyn or Queens, you ain't gonna be wanting to eat no Burger King. You're gonna be wanting to eat the food. It's a bunch of food out there now. Bunch of street food and all kind of good food. Y'all gonna find a little spots that she gonna want to eat at and stuff. And it's going to be outside your budget. That's what I'm saying. For you to look comfortable, man, look, I told you it's a dude in Connecticut I made. This boy got a Corvette, brand new yellow Corvette. He pulling up in a brand new yellow Corvette, swerving, stunting. Y'all feel that? That boy said he got a $200,000 house. He make $100,000 a year. He said, I ain't doing no better than you, really. Just a little more comfortable. Got a nice car. My house note $2,000. He buying the house $2,000. It's only like a 2,000 some square foot house in Connecticut. His car note $1,000. That's $3,000 for his car and his house. So what you make it you bring it home in your pocket $7,000 a month. See, now he on $1,000 a week. You see what I'm saying? Then that's not helping your girl, because you know she gonna have to be taking her out and stuff. You know you making that much money with a Corvette, you gonna grab you one. And if you grab you one, you gonna have to spend some bread, because that's what the people who got the girl, like, they spend bread on them girls. I had a little homegirl I was running with. I was dropping bread on her. And even though she wasn't my girl, whenever she stopped talking to me, she went to a dude who dropped bread on her. Yeah, she went and got her own money, a really good job, and he still getting money dropping bread on her. A girl of a certain caliber, you going to have to drop bread on her. Period. You ain't going to be having no pretty girl and be broke, because the next dude, who he going to come snatch it. So I'm saying, in order for you to get to a certain level that you're trying to get to in life, or get a certain amount of money that you're trying to get in life, you know what I'm saying? But for Ghost though, y'all, because I'm disabled, that makes a difference. Golly, my girl got a good job. Really good job. That's too awesome, baby. Too awesome. I'm just saying, y'all, I don't understand why minimum wage is so low. Republicans standing in the way of raising minimum wage. Talking about you got to pay for it, all this different kind of stuff, man. I don't like it. It's not about spreading the wealth around. It's just about caring for your fellow human being. It's about humanity. When I walk by a man and I know he ain't got no food, he ain't got no home, he down bad. Yeah, he probably on drugs. Yeah, he probably, yeah. I know all of that. I know it better than you. But I'm saying, if I got extra money in my pocket, I feel like as a Christian person, it's my duty to make sure that man get him something to eat at night if he ain't ate. It's my duty. And for the ones who got too much extra, Tupac said that, man. You got people living on the streets, and you got single men staying in a 30-room mansion. And right across his house, he got 29 people living on the streets. And he got a 30-room mansion, he in there by himself. Don't make no sense. Donnie says, Ghost, rent in Cleveland is only $900 to $1,100. Non-rent control. Do you know what the difference is? They do not allow rent control in the city. That's crazy, Donnie. That's crazy. I'm saying rent control to me is necessary. You know? I'm saying that's you how I want to say it, that's you assuring that everyone has an opportunity. I'm saying there's no way in the world that if I decided to live in New York City, I could live in New York City without help. I'm saying I'm on a fixed income. The money that I make, there at times I get, you know, you look at the YouTube, there'll be times you'll see me with 20 racks cash. But I hadn't built my business to a level to where I could depend on, like I could take care of a family, because I'm getting income like that. So it just comes when it comes. In the meantime, in between time, the reality that I'm living on, I'm talking about it's not that much money, man. It's not. You know, Social Security not gonna give you no million. They're not gonna help you get rich. That's not what they supposed to do, though. Bryn says because he worked, invested, and earned it, nobody is entitled to what he worked, invested in. Oh, you right, baby. You right, baby. This is what I'm saying, though. And I did this yesterday, and I think it's important that we do this. I do this, excuse me, so we can understand. I don't know if you guys are Christians or not, but I am. So me being a Christian, guys, y'all excuse me. Me being a Christian, y'all, that's my motivating factor, okay, for why I believe and what I think. America is supposed to be a Christian nation, so all these people we talking about are supposed to be Christians, okay? So let's look at a couple of scriptures, and I'm not going to read them out of context because I'll let you know something else after we finish this. This is what I believe. So you guys who are religious, don't act like I'm reading the Bible. Just act like I'm just saying something that I believe. Okay, Matthew 19:21. It says, the young man said unto him, all these things I have kept from my youth. What do I lack? Hold on, make sure I get the one. And Jesus said unto him, if thou wilt be perfect, and sell all thou have, and give it to who? Give it to the rich man. Jesus said unto him, since the rich man create all thy wealth, sell all thou have and give it to the rich man. He said, give it to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven. Jesus said, whatever you got, go sell it and give it to the poor. Okay, hold on. We a Christian nation. Why we say we Christians if we not following Christ? Why we Christians? What Jesus did in the situation? When you talking about all the rich people, think about Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and President Trump, all that kind of money sitting at one table. This is what I'm going to tell them if I'm sitting there. He that had pity unto the poor lendeth unto the Lord. And that which he hath given will he pay him again. God told me when I got pity on that poor man at Walmart, that homeless man at Walmart, God said when I had pity unto him, I'm giving the money to God. That's what God said. That's what my Bible say. You want to read your Christian nation? Which one of us are Christians in here? Who want to read Proverbs 19 and verse 17 with me? God said, he that had pity unto the poor lendeth unto me. God said, you giving it to the poor, you like, let me borrow it. And he that giveth will pay him again. God said, you let me borrow it, I'm going to pay you back. God said, you giving to the poor, that's like you let me borrow the money. And whatever you give them, I'll pay you back. Proverbs 28, verse 27. We could do this all day. He that giveth to the poor shall not lack, but he that hideth his eyes shall have many a curse. So God said, not only, if this is what he told his people, God, Christian nation, you sure you're a Christian nation? This is what God told his people. He said, if you give to the poor, you ain't gonna lack for nothing. But when you see that homeless man at Walmart and you turn your head and you got the money to help him, God said he gonna curse you. God said he gonna curse you for turning your head to that homeless man. That's what God told his people. This is what I believe. It ain't no, listen, taxing the rich, that I don't see how in the world you could say that I mean, I don't get where y'all Republicans, as far as the Christians, that. But when you give a feast, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed. That's what I believe. You see what I'm saying? It ain't about personal success and personal wealth and personal responsibility. It's about obeying Jesus. It's about obeying God. And God told us to help the poor, period. If you're a Christian. Now, if you might be like, Donnie, I ain't calling you out, Donnie. I ain't saying you, Donnie. But if you don't believe in God, that's different. You living by a different set of rules than the rest of us who say we are Christians in a Christian nation. Well, do what Christ did. He said, feed the poor. I don't want to hear what nobody else talking about. I'm going to tax that rich man and I'm going to go feed that man. That's what I'm going to do. Because it's not Elon's responsibility. He's not a Christian to go out and be trying to, but we Christian nation. So my Christian nation government is going to take the money from him and do the responsibility that God told us to do. I'm going to tax the rich and I'm going to give it to the poor. I don't care what no Republicans say. I don't care what no messed up preacher said. I'm telling you what God said and what Jesus did. Feed the poor. Do I make myself clear? you feel me? Do I make myself clear? It's simple. It's simple mathematics for ghostwriter. It ain't too hard. You feel me? I don't have to be in this car right now. I chose to fight for justice. That's a choice. I don't have to be in this car, but I don't regret it either. We gotta humble ourselves, man. Once you done seen God for real, you will humble yourself. You know what I'm saying? You won't walk by a homeless person and think you better than him, because you're not. God gonna remind you that. He might not remind you till you about to die. He might not remind you till you get into the next world. But he gonna remind you. He faithful. He God. You ain't better than nobody. Ain't none of us are. He said to feed the poor. How many times? What phrase is the most mentioned phrase in the Bible? How many times is feed the poor in the Bible? How many times God said that? How many times? It says the Bible doesn't have a single count, but repeatedly commands feeding the hungry through numerous verses and examples, emphasizing it as a core act of faith. Core act of faith. Y'all don't care. Like, people, they make excuses. You know, people selfish. You want to keep that money yourself. I do too. It's just I don't love the money as much as I love humanity. Probably the first person to slap the taste buds out of somebody's mouth. I still love them though. You ain't gonna slap them. You gonna talk to them polite, but you don't love them. You don't care nothing about them. You see them over there hungry, you gonna let them starve. I'm not gonna do that. I ain't gonna let them starve. I ain't gonna kill them. I'm gonna let them live. I'm gonna let Charlie Kirk, even if y'all say he was a white supremacist, I'm gonna let the white supremacists live. That's the difference between me and Ghost. It's not about what I want to do. It's about what Jesus said to do. And my best friend betrayed me, and I had him at a table, and he sold me out for $30,000, and I found out, and I called him out. I'm finna pluck him in the head. Real talk. But that ain't what Jesus said to do. He said, a new commandment I give unto thee, that you love one another. You can't say you a Christian and don't follow Christ. They don't look right. It's not authentic. That's what I'm saying. So, like, it's those parts of the Democratic cause, they seem more aligned with what Jesus, like, that's everyday life. Them Democrats, AOC be out there passing out backpacks to the hungry kids, to the poor kids. I see her all the time. She in the Bronx doing something like that. They be feeding Hakeem Jeffries, he feeding people. Thanksgiving and Christmas, he in Brooklyn feeding people in the soup kitchen. What the Republican senators doing on Thanksgiving and Christmas? Some of them doing that too, but most of them, that ain't how they get out. You know what I'm saying? Guys, brands, baby, it ain't just about feeding them. It's about Caring for humanity. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, you are. If we all live by these principles, see, God was teaching his people how to take care of those downtrodden ones. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying in the absence of a society, we could say we Christian nation and God we trust, but in America, you got a freedom. So you got Muslims, you got Hindus, you got atheists. You can't make everyone believe in Christ or follow those principles. But I'm saying because that's my belief as a policy advisor, I don't have to do that with Jasmine. I don't have to do that with VP Harris. They schooled me. AOC schooled me on how to feed the poor. Hakeem Jeffries, they schooled me. That's why I can't even tell y'all the corporate tax, how I'm going to take the corporate tax. I'm going to get some Democrats to write it for me. I'm going to get Big Bernie to write it. Bernie Sanders schooled me. But as far as the Republicans, they just believe different. I ain't hating on President Trump. However you want to get the money, big dog. But you can't forget about the poor. That's not Christian. And then on top of that, you're going to lose the election, which is going to be the fruit of your reward of your labor. You come help the poor, you're going to win. Celebrate that $1.4 billion you and Don Jr. and that y'all made. Celebrate it. But I'm saying if you don't help the poor, though, you got to feed people, man. You got to care about humanity. Those are human beings. Yes, they have a personal responsibility to make life better for themselves. Dude, I'm making life better than for myself. Trust me. I got cases to work on right now. Because I don't do it every day, all day. That don't mean nothing. But I'm saying, like, I make the effort. I do the efforts. Those cases not easy, bro. It might look easy me doing it. You do one. And you're not an attorney. And you don't have a support system. Doing it from a car. You feel me? Federal court. That's not easy. So I do think to make my life better. That's why I'm going to climb up out this situation. Everybody's not so fortunate. I don't regret walking in the situation with people who are less fortunate than me because I don't think I'm better than them. Those are the ones I love on. Because I seen that's what Jesus did. Imagine you a king. And I come to your city, y'all, and I'm looking for the king. I'm looking for Prince Henry. I'm looking for the prince. And I'm looking over here. I'm looking everywhere for the prince. I'm looking everywhere, and I can't find him. I'm in the palace. I'm in the courtyard. I go to all the places where the fine linens are. You know, back in the day, fine linen, that in the Bible, that means the Gucci store. You feel me? Louis Vuitton, hey, and the fine linen, hey, with the Jordans on, hey. You feel me? And so I'm looking for the king. And like, say I was passing by the Gucci store and I looked to the left and I just glanced over there, back off in there. That's the projects. Now we don't go. Hold up. That go the king. This king came from heaven. He was with the have-nots. He was with the ones who didn't have nothing. That's who Jesus was with. The undesirables, the unlovables. Just like back in God's day when the religious people went away from the Christians in today's day, they have strayed away from Christ, who Christ really was. They got their own representation of God, like some holier than thou, looking halfway like the world. If you're a Christian, you believe in Christ, feed the poor. If you don't believe in Christ and you a human being, feed the poor. If you care about humanity, feed the poor. If you don't, it don't matter if you make less than $100,000 a year under Ghost. Ain't nobody gonna tax you anyway. We ain't fooling with you. If you make less than $100,000, I ain't even taking money out your check. Whatever the employer pay you, he giving you all of your money. You don't pay no taxes. I'm not taking the money back and I'm not touching none of your money ever if you make less than $100,000 a year. But Elon Musk, I want to show y'all how much Elon made in 2025. Elon, I'm sorry. You the only one I do this to because you know I like you, dude. I don't like the rest of them, so I ain't even going because I'll get on their head. How much Elon made in 2025? How much Elon made in 2025? Between 187 and 215 billion. He was already worth how many hundreds of billions? This dude made 200 billion in a year. 200 billion in 1 year. Oh yeah, Elon. So you telling me if I take 2% of that, 2%, he don't even know what? I'm talking about a different tax. The tax code he already playing, we're going to go back to Obama year tax codes for that. But I'm talking about a wealth tax. And we using that money, bro. You raise money like you raise tariff money. Look all the money he raising out tariffs. And getting money out tariffs, yeah, that's a lot of money he getting to do a lot of things with that. But look what you got to go through to get it, Donnie and Brians. You got to, Canada got to be your enemy. You got to turn your friends into foes to get the tariff money. That's a hard road to hold. I'm saying you take 2% of Elon's wealth, it ain't going to change none. What you take, what $5 billion to Elon? You tell him to give $5 billion for Elon. He going to laugh at it. He going to find a way to make it back some other way. He got too much money. He can't be stopped. You take $5 billion in tax from Elon. He get mad. He start pouting. Elon go sit down. So what he gonna do? He gonna go get the money some other kind of way. That's who he is. The boy, he got the mind to get the money. That's who you get the from. He ain't finna move nowhere. Cause anywhere he move in the world, they gonna be taxing him too. What do you think? How you think Saudi Arabia able to give a stipend to them? But the residents happy as flip. You don't see Saudi Arabians out there protesting. When the last time you seen them protesting in Saudi? Because that government, they ain't paying them good. And they money, I think it's like 700. That's how I knew they giving it to them. Oil money. Imagine you, the government. Like I remember during the unemployment, them people didn't want to go back to work. Well, in Saudi Arabia, they living like that. There's some people working, but a lot of people just don't have to work. And they getting that 700 a week. Just living that regular everyday life. Imagine you living your everyday regular life, getting that $800 a week in that unemployment, that COVID unemployment. You get $800 a week. You ain't got no government that's trying to make you go back to work. In Saudi, that's why they love it. That's why they ain't gonna never. MBS, that boy a rock star, the crown prince, boy. What? Look, he went and shook down all the. Bro, I'm telling you. Bernie Sanders and them don't know because they say he killed that one dude, so he like a civil right. But he young, bro. Like if he did, bro, he was young, man. You know, leader. President Trump talking about taking Greenland. He's 70, 80 years old. That power gets to your head. I wish I could advise a boy like that. He just young, man. You know, his daddy and them, they need to like school him to the game. You see what that do to world stage. You ain't trying to be no monster. So you can't do that. And if you do it, you can't get caught. So don't do it. So he put that behind him. He ain't doing it no more. I'm saying, bro, he shook down all the millionaires. Look, in Saudi Arabia, the crown prince, MBS, that's my dog. Look, he took all the rich people in this country. I'll put this on everything. I'll play it right now for you on YouTube. I don't remember if it was a Sheraton. It was a hotel. He put them in the hotel and he shook them down. He went through all their finances, how much they made, how much they worth, and everything. And he said, "Okay, this amount of your money, you got to give it to the kingdom, because I got to feed my people." He was taking their money. He was jacking them. The ones who was in corruption, he the prince. He could be about put them to death. But he wouldn't let them leave till they signed the paper. They gave up their wealth. And you know what he did? He'd take the money, he invested. That's how they giving $1 trillion stuff. He making moves with the money in Saudi Arabia. They making moves with them trillions. And they feeding their people. And their people are never complaining. Even the women, he letting the women go on without wearing the stuff on their head. He letting the women drive. Now I'm talking about Saudi Arabia. They finna be the happiest people in the world. He letting the women drive. Oh, they gonna die for their king. And I'm saying, he get the young people, he say, okay, yeah, y'all need to go back to work. The ones who don't go to work, he's still paying them. You see what I'm saying? Tax the rich. That's what you get. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that is true, dude. Elon does give so much money to charities. Much. I gotta say that I seen it. I seen him give $5 million in shares. I remember that one year he gave $5 million in shares. He does, though. I ain't gonna lie. He do. That's why I said Elon the only really one of them dudes that I like. He the only rich dude that I like. I really don't care for rich dudes. Not that I hate on them. You know what I'm saying? Most people, they running, chasing behind rich dudes. They trying to get some pennies thrown at them, trying to get some dollars. They looking for favor from a billionaire. I'm from a billionaire, that kind of dude. We don't look for favors from him. We gonna take what he got if we can. He can't ride through our neighborhood because we gonna take what he got. He come to our neighborhood. It's the wolves over here. We hungry. Human wolves. He gonna get ate. That boy will leave out of there in his socks. Hey, listen though, Donnie, he'll leave out of there with his socks. Look, we'll leave a baseball cap on. I done seen this happen before. Put the boy baseball cap on, back on his head. All he left out of there with his socks. Boy, your pants too nice. We want your pants. We want your shirt. Boy, we want your man. Boy, that boy take them drawers off. You feel me? Oh, you leaving with your socks and then you got to put a baseball cap on you, boy. Get on down. I'm talking about your car, your keys, your wallet, everything. You're going to get taxed one way or that. See, that's where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? Then the wolves take everything you got. We can't take it like that. We gonna con it at you. Tax the rich. Make the rich the enemy and take their cheese, take their spot, take their wealth, take their keys. May my faculty live happily ever after and laughter. It don't have to be like, you don't have to have in Los Angeles young people robbing and killing if you had the appropriate way to spread the wealth or redistribute the wealth. I don't know how Elon redistributing the wealth if he worth $1 trillion and you only asking him for 10 billion. You know how much $1 trillion is? How is redistributing the wealth if I'm asking you for 10 billion so I could feed these people over here so they won't be over here committing all these crazy crimes? Like they don't have them problems in Saudi Arabia. I'm going to give them a basic income living, whatever, and I could feed these people. They over here starving, stealing, doing drugs. Imagine if you gave some of them $700 a week, you wouldn't have them problems. They'll just be like a normal person living their life. Some people just wicked, some people just criminal, some yada, yada. We understand that. I'm talking about the ones that's not. That's what I'm talking about this morning. Y'all, if y'all haven't liked the video, make sure y'all like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, guys. We got us about what? We at that 2 hour mark, guys. So I got a couple of more minutes, couple of more comments, guys. What you don't realize though, I see you down there trying to be funny, smoke the free money. I see you trying to be funny down there. You know what I'm saying? How to, honey, smoke the free money. You like ramen. Like, there's somebody in here that know me that's like clowning. Listen, you saying smoke the free money. It don't matter what they do with the money. You don't understand. It's just like healthcare being a basic right for beings. If you believe that, you believe that healthcare is a human right, that all humans should be afforded healthcare. You feel that? So what I'm saying in Saudi Arabia, he's going to give those people that living stipend, period. He's going to give it to them. I mean, how can you afford it? It seems like you're going to run out of money eventually. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, Elon, it about 100 of them, they got enough money to, I'm telling you, with them still being rich, they could still be rich. I'm not trying to make Elon not be the richest man in the world. I want him to still be the richest man in the world. I want Jeff Bezos to still do what he did with Amazon. He's an innovator. He's a creator. He created wealth and jobs. I want Apple, what, Jobs, he ain't here no more. You know, I want them all to do what they did. Bill Gates. You don't want to take the man. You ain't trying to cripple him and take nah, it ain't what he doing. You know what I'm saying? Some boy, they come through, they jack you, they gonna kill you too. I told you, we ain't killing nobody. We just gonna make him leave. He gonna leave in his hat. I might let him put a tutu on his front. You know what I'm saying? And his socks. Everything else, he gotta come out of that. The cars, the keys, the wallets, everything. You know what I'm saying? He get his, I'm a good dude. I'm gonna give him his house key. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give him everything back that he know I ain't never gonna see you again. I don't care where you at, your wife, your kids, your family, nothing. You will never see me again. I'm gonna give him back everything. But that stuff that we taking with us, you just got taxed, boy. You gotta pay your taxes. Cause if you don't pay them taxes, you gonna send them jack boys, you gonna send them youngsters like in LA. And they gonna come running in y'all neighborhoods. Y'all got wild wolves and wild bears in y'all neighborhood. These black teens, y'all got wolves in your neighborhoods. They come to eat. They robbing you because you being selfish and greedy. It's not a redistribution of wealth. The people in Orange County still gonna be as rich as they was before we came in here and did anything. Just like in Saudi Arabia, he not gonna take all the man money. Stupid. He know you take all his money, the dude gonna leave. He got the means to get up out of Saudi Arabia. He need him there making money. Business owners. So he not taking all that money, dummy. We not stupid as you. But we not gonna sit here and let our people starve while 5 people eating. 5 people eating and 100 people starving. 5 people eating and 20 people, they get nibbles and 80 people about to starve. And you got the ones getting nibbles having to share their food. And the 5 people who eating gourmet meals, they ain't giving up nothing but crumbs. Make it make sense, boy. Tax the rich. Hey, look, YouTube, they cleared me out from my stores. So them shirts, as soon as I got a couple cases, I got a couple little things going on. But as soon as I get time for them shirts, guys, tax the rich. It's coming. You said they don't have an income tax. Nah, they might not have an income tax. Donnie, I know you probably reading up on them. They probably don't. You know what I'm saying? But watch this. I'm trying to find it, y'all. I promise y'all. I don't think King Solomon did. I think it was, hold up. It was MBS, I'm sure. Hold up. Guys, y'all see, they love the Saudis though. I'm telling y'all, hold on. Let me try to see if I can find it. Oh, okay, here you go. Y'all thought I was playing. Hold on.
Young Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman rounded up 400 of the kingdom's top businessmen, princes, and ministers and confined them to the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Recently, a number of those detained have spoken to The Guardian and revealed new details of how the prominent figures were beaten for hours and extorted, often by clueless interrogators. In a show of power reminiscent of a scene from an Italian mafia movie, MBS carried out the biggest purge in the history of the kingdom. A shakedown that put targets on establishment figures, seized their assets, and tore their empires. Ironically, Mr. Everything had taken everything, and he was just getting started. It is important to understand that MBS had become the crown prince in June, just a few months before the purge. His ascension was already contentious, skipping a generation of heirs in line to the throne. And so him rounding up members of his own family and the most powerful men in the kingdom, seizing their assets, attempting to rip their business empires apart, and forcing them to invest in some of his big planned initiatives, was a bold move.
Y'all heard that? You thought I was playing with you. You thought I was lying. You know who told? I heard that from President Trump first. I told you I consume a lot of social media. A lot. Stuff you ain't gonna see on no regular news. And President Trump, he was telling that story. He'd talk for an hour and a half, and I'll listen for an hour and a half sometimes. Y'all say he rambling. This stuff, he telling stories in that rambling. Any old person is, if you listen to him. They got a lot of wisdom. So I listened to him, and he said he told that story about MBS, how he shook them down. He took all the rich people in his country. That's so gangster. I wish I was a king. He said, oh, you worth $300 million. He found $100 million in corruption. You already know that's gone. Any corruption he found in your books, he took that money from you. Oh, it was a time in between them getting oil monies where MBS was trying to take Saudi in a new direction, which paid off humongously because look how rich they are. And he was taking Saudi in a new direction, and he said the richest people in their country, he put them in the Ritz-Carlton. And he said, y'all gonna, he went through all of their books, and he got a certain amount of money, $30 million for you. You gonna pay it or you ain't leaving. You gonna sign this paper to pay it, or he beat them, tortured them, whatever. He took that money and he gave it to his people. That's how they get a stipend. He gave it to his people. You could say you lazy, they don't want to work. You could say whatever you want them to say. That's how he stay in power. And ain't nobody out there protesting because the majority of the people happy. And the little rich people he took the money from, they got mad. Some of them still mad and pounding at him over it. He fell out of it with some of them, but his people eating and his people happy. He took the money, he invested it, and look at Saudi today. That little bitty country. Well, it's not that little, but one of the richest nations in the world. The boy's smart. He might sometimes done or snorted some cocaine. He a young dude. You got to have the wisdom to understand what you're dealing with. You understand what world he in. That's what they did in the desert. They drove Lamborghini, snorted coke, and got prostitutes. They doing that in D.C. too. They doing that in Florida too. What's the difference? He doing it. Oh, we ain't sure about him. Him in control of this empire here. But they doing it over here in America too. They on the Epstein list in America. So what? He made a mistake with the dude where he killed that journalist. He shouldn't have did that. But I mean, shoot, ICE out there shooting girls in the face. ICE shooting people in the back. In the public, trying to make it look like it. He didn't make it look like it, but you know, he a king. He could get away with that in this country. He just was young, didn't understand. But what I'm saying, that's like the most gangster Bernie Sanders mentality of taxing the rich I ever seen. He put them in a hotel. He shook them down, took all the extra corruption money, whatever, and he went and fed his people. And he invested the money and brought back trillions to Saudi Arabia. They just invested over $1 trillion or so in America. They got the trillions to invest. Trillions. The family worth trillions. Family worth trillions. You know how, you know, President Trump, we talking because he made a 1.4 billion. He made 1.4 billion. You know, you got to get 100 billion and 200 billion and 300 billion and 400 billion and 500 billion and 600 billion and 700 billion and 800 billion and 900 billion to get to $1 trillion. So we talking about President Trump. He made 1.4 billion with a B. The Saudis are worth over $1 trillion, 1.5 trillion with a T. That's because your boy, NBS. That's why I like my dog. Yeah, I watch the content on that boy. That's why I like that boy. He young too, bro. He's soft-spoken. He well-mannered. He made some mistakes. You got to understand where he from. He coming from a lion's den. He coming from the jungle. That's Saudi Arabia. You look at the neighborhood he in. They cut people head off with a regular knife. Sawing the man head off. You know what neighborhood he in. He the calmest, some of the calmest of them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I know, Briggs, and I understand that 7% tax of income. That's why I say you get a Democrat to write that policy. You know, maybe you don't all the way take from the rich, but I believe in taxing the rich. I ain't gonna rob them. You don't take their money. That's crazy. You do not take all their money. That don't make no sense. The richest people are some of the same people in my America. Because you got to protect that. Those are those interests, they benefit you. I'm going to protect the interests. So I'm going to let the little rich dude get as much money as he can. But he just got to help take care. Like, that's what Jesus said to do. Elon's not a Christian, so he don't understand that. He might not even believe that scripture. But God said, he that hath pity on the poor, lend it to me. And God said, I will repay him. God told us how to take care of the poor. So Elon don't believe that. He don't have to. But I'm saying these are humans, humanity. So we're not going to leave nobody behind in Greg's America. So Elon, I need some of that money. And I'm going to take some of that money. And I'm going to go get them $700 a week. And we ain't going to have no homeless problem. If they doing drugs, then you know, in Saudi Arabia, he gonna give you 100 years. He gonna give you 100 years. That's gonna cure the drug problem. I'm not advocating for giving people 100 years from doing drugs. I'm just telling you that's how they deal with it. If you got any problems like that to where you don't need the $700 a week, they got laws that's gonna take care of you. And you ain't gonna be in society. But for the rest of the people out there, he ain't sitting there he gonna feed his people. He gonna make sure his people eat. Tax the rich. Elon gonna still be rich, I promise you. He gonna be as rich as he wanna be still. And Elon might donate more than Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos might not donate. So we need that little bit from you, partner. We need that little bit. We got to take care of our people. I know, Donnie, and listen, this is what I'm saying. The difference, though, I'm not a Democrat, though. I just believe in certain, I would say, more initiatives. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm progressive either, because like on some economic policies, I am progressive. I do agree with them. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a problem if President Trump chose, look, that's the way he chose to build his economy from the top down. But what I'm saying is it'll never trickle down to the bottom if he don't get down there and do what he got to do. He got to get down there and help out. That's what Ronald Reagan did. And whoever advising President Trump, they got to be able to know to tell him that. This is what Reagan did, and this money is still given to the poor after all these generations. What Reagan signed something that's still given to the poor. So he understood that, hey, yeah, I'm going to cut taxes. They creating the wealth. But at the same time, that money might not trickle down. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to interject in the bottom too. So I get the whole picture, the whole economy, the whole thing. Bill Clinton started with the bottom and he expanded the middle class. So the middle class grew. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people became wealthy in America under Bill Clinton. But he just went and adopted Newt Gingrich and them policies and taxed the rich. So how Bill Clinton did, that was the last time it was perfect. The whole picture got fed. You got to feed everybody. Everybody got to get it. You can't just get the top 40% and let some trickle down to the next 50 and 60%. But the ones on the very bottom, the ones at the 30% wrong, the 20%, the 10%, they're not getting nothing. So you got to be smarter than the fifth grader. You got to get down there and you got to help them too. That's all Ghost saying. But anytime your GDP is at record and you got record numbers, you just got to come help the poor, and then you could be in the discussions amongst the greatest. The Democrats don't have an affordability argument if you're helping the poor. If you're helping the poor, they don't have an argument. Because that's where, I promise you, on economics, that's where they're going. They're going to the poor to get them votes. It's more them than it is millionaires. Y'all, that's my time. I love y'all. You guys know I'm a born-again Christian, man. I believe Christ is king, and I tell people that every single time. I believe that Jesus suffered, he bled, and he died on the cross for my sins. He died for Brian's sins. He died for Donnie's sins. I believe all you have to do with one prayer, you can ask him, pray, and ask him for forgiveness. You have to be truly sorry for your sins. You got to let God know that you accept him. You accept Jesus' sacrifice, his blood on the cross as payment for your sins. And you got to believe that with faith. God's grace and your faith will lead to salvation. After you accepted Jesus, you're going to follow within the life that he lived. You will never be perfect. I'm not perfect. The preacher might want you to be perfect. He's not perfect. The Bible says if we sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ, the righteous. You know what that tell me, Donnie? That tell me that God wants me to try. He wants me to try. He know I'm not going to be perfect, but he wants me to try, man. I love y'all, man. Every day I wake up, I say, this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice, be glad in it. I looked and seen it's 6 degrees outside. You know what I'm saying? I wish I was in San Diego right now, 64 degrees, but I'm not. I'm in big NYC, and I'm rejoicing, and I'm being glad in it, y'all. That's my time. I love y'all, man. We live every single day this week. Marathon, 7 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. I think we talking about, I'm not even sure. Y'all, I'm not even sure we talking about. Y'all could check the under the live tab, though. But, guys, I'm out, y'all. I love y'all. Y'all be safe. I'll see y'all in the morning. Tomorrow's Saturday, right? 7 o'clock a.m. Eastern. See y'all then.